What's going on, beautiful people? We are back again with another Mental Max Out podcast. I'm your host, Akeem Robinson. And for those of you joining us for the first time, thanks for checking it out. Mental Max Out is all about helping people change their perspectives, think differently, and get out of the hole. If you're back again, I celebrate your willingness to continue growing and challenging your mind. Remember, if you like what you hear today, make sure you hit that subscribe button or whatever platform you're listening from. Share it with a friend and follow us on social media at Mental Max Out Podcast. And what's going on, beautiful people? We're back again, and I'm always excited to just continue to share, have a different perspective of how we look at things, along with my beautiful wife, Allison. And how you feeling?
We're so excited to be back shooting another episode of the podcast. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. If you don't already, follow us on social media, Mental Max Out the podcast on Instagram. What you got, babe?
So I was looking at this article about a 4-day work week. And I know that's kind of different because, staying at home with Serena, so I don't really have a work week. My work week is 24/7.
So your work week's 7 days a week.
Yeah, 7 days a week, 365, on call, sick days, all those are run by the boss, who's 1 year old, and she runs a pretty tight ship. But I was looking at this thing like a 4-day work week, and I was just thinking to myself, why do people get so hyped and pumped for the weekend?
Do you think that because you're home with Serena, that the weekend, do you feel more excited for the weekend because I'm not going to have to work? Or do you feel kind of like it's the same, it's no different? I know that's a loaded question, and it's not a trap, I swear.
It's always a trap. It's always a trap. Honestly, it doesn't feel any different to me because, I have the yard to tackle, and when I say tackle, it is a task of trying to conquer a giant.
Akeem loses 5 to 6 pounds every time he mows the lawn, which is incredible. And when you see him next, just compliment him on his yard work, because you can tell that weekly he's dropping weight just by mowing the lawn. Which is true, and granted, also the fact that you always tell me not to dress like I'm training for a wrestling match because I'm wearing sweatpants and a hoodie, but. That's how that you dress when you mow the lawn. It is 100 degrees.
Facts.
Over 85% humidity.
Yes.
Heat index is unreal. UV is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And you dress like you are going to walk through Denver, Colorado in the middle of January after there was a blizzard. It makes no sense. But I'm going to just say it. That's the difference between black people and white people, because I'll be out there in a swimsuit trying to get tan, and you're out there avoiding the sun at all possible, like you're that kid from Benchwarmers.
Yes. I've never. You might be different. If you're listening out there today, you might be different. I've never seen any black person mow the lawn without some kind of leg protection and full leave sling, can't even say the word. Full-length sleeve just covering the whole body, because you have to. That's just what we do.
You're like a wrestler.
I have to.
Trash bags underneath you, duct tape, trying to shred weight before your big match, meat match.
Trying to make weight.
Yeah.
But in any case. And so it makes no difference, to be honest, because I know I have to do that. And so I don't really get pumped. But I do remember that when I was working, I did get pumped for the weekend. And I think we kind of have two different perspectives on it, just because when we worked in college athletics, we never had weekends either.
Working in football, you're excited for Saturday. Even though you're working on Saturday, it's game day, right? So you're so pumped. But post game lift / treatments on a Sunday.
And please don't lose.
if you're out there and you're listening and you're from the college athletics world like us, then you know how brutal Sundays are.
Sundays are tough.
Especially in football season. But in any case, I feel like the reason that you get so not excited for the weekend, but you have stuff to do that's not the stuff that you have to do during the week. You have week stuff to do and you have weekend stuff to do. There's always stuff to do. And so it's just different stuff.
Okay. There is always stuff to do. I think people get excited for the weekend because it's that expectation. It's that expectation of, I don't have to do something, and I get to do something, like you said, that I've been wanting to do, this project that I've been having on the back burner, or I get to go to the store uninterrupted. But it's this expectation that we start to build up in our minds.
I think it hits both ways. You're right, because I know after working, I can't wait to go to the grocery store. I think about it all week. I can't wait to go grocery shopping. I make my little list in my head. I don't write anything down, but I make it in my head all week.
Absolutely not.
But I get really excited for the weekend because I get to go to the grocery store. I get to vacuum. I get to do all these things that most weekends I'm excited for. And then there are the occasional, it gets to that point in time and I'm like, oh my gosh, the house is a mess. I absolutely can't stand it and I'm going to lose my mind, but I don't feel like doing anything. Mm-hmm. This person I follow on Instagram calls it ambitious but lazy. And so, just kind of like feeling excited to do something other than what I've been doing for 5 days.
So let me ask you this. Have you ever been excited for something on the weekend and you don't get a chance to do it? Then how do you feel?
Ugh. So, let me give you an example, okay? I want to do a board for Serena's height chart because I grew up and my height chart was on the house. My parents just did it on the wall. Well, what happens if you paint over it? What happens if you move, right? And so I want to do it on a 1x6 board, and I want to paint it. I want to Cricut and put butterflies on it. I want it to be this really cute thing, right? So I buy a board and it's a 2x6. I don't know, a 2x6 is a thick board. And so I take it to our neighbor who does tons of woodworking. He's very talented. I take it over to him and he's like, that's some board now. And I was like, well, what would you recommend? So then he shows me a different type of board and I was like, well, that's genius. So I'm going to go get that type of board. Well, they only sell them in 8 feet lengths, right? Serena's going to be tall, but I don't think she's going to be 8 feet.
Please, God, no.
So I have this 8-foot board now in the garage, but before I paint it and before I do everything to it, I want to go ask Mr. Carl to cut it for me, right? I'm going to cut it to 6 feet. If Serena's taller than 6 feet, we'll just laugh at it when she gets to 6'5" and she's got her arm up, propped up on the top of the board because she's outgrown her height chart. It's fine. But for the sake of all intensive purposes, I'm going to make the board 6 feet. So maybe 6'5". I want to cut it before I do it. I have thought about this. I bought the board in July because Serena turned 1 in June. I know what her height in June was because it's on her physical or her 1-year checkup. We have her 15-month appointment on Monday and I was hoping that I could actually do her height, but I'm not prepared because every weekend I'm like, I'm going to take the board to Mr. Carl. I'm going to have him cut it. Then they were out of town for a month. So then I couldn't do it. Then my dad was going to cut it for me with Akeem's and saw. Then we didn't do that. And so anyways, I have this board. And every weekend I want to work on it. And I don't get it done. And I think about it constantly.
So does that change the expectation? Because that's something you wanted to do, but you haven't been able to do it. Do you just No,
I'm still in the wise words of Rihanna, cheers to the freaking weekend. I am still going through my week. I can't freaking wait for the weekend, whether I get what I want to do done or I just sit around and I veg and watch reruns of Scandal and drink wine. I don't care.
Olivia Pope style.
And popcorn.
Gonna
be dinner tonight, maybe. But it doesn't matter because the point is I get a break from work. Mm-hmm. So for me, the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, now that I'm not in athletics anymore, is the only time that unless I choose to log into my email, I can completely remove myself. Now, if I choose to log into my email out of habit, and that does happen to me sometimes because I'm so used to on my phone going to it as one of my then I've opened myself up to the can of worms. Or I'm passionate about what I'm doing at work, and so I do think about work, but I don't work.
Because I would like to challenge you guys listening out there, because I truly believe, and I can say this because I fell into this trap, I truly believe that even though when the weekend happens and we're so excited for the weekend to happen because we don't have work, we make something else work. We make something else not feel as enjoyable. It probably was enjoyable. You've probably been wanting to do it. But now you put that work I have to do this. I need to get this done. And so something that you've been excited to do is now adding stress to you. That used to be me all the time. I used to get excited for the weekend and I was saying I was going to do this, and I didn't do it. Then when I didn't do it, I waited till the next week and I didn't do it. And then I waited till the next week and I didn't do it. And by now it's a month in, I'm now pissed at myself.
And the grass is to your knees.
And the grass is to my knees. And I'm pushing and all I hear is Aladdin Arabian Night in my head. And I'm pushing like I'm trying to reach the promised land.
But I think like you bring up an interesting point, right? Because we tend to on the weekends create more work for ourselves because we have 48 hours to get everything non-work related done, right? Because if you're an hourly type of employee or you're in education and you have a set schedule where you know when you're going to be at work and you know when you're not, you finish your day and you're tired, right? You go grocery shopping after work every Thursday per se, right? But then you still have something that you have to do on Saturday or a Sunday. Or if you're like us, one thing that we fall habit to a lot is we get home from church on Sunday and we're automatically in prep mode for the week, whether that's meal prepping, whether that's, laundry, whatever it is. So part of our weekend is spent working. It just looks different because it's not financial, go into work, do your day job work. It's your second job, which is your home life, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that it's really hard to find time, if you don't find time throughout the week, to do something for yourself, whether it is that one errand that you want to run, just that time to veg and just chill out and have your wine and popcorn and watch Scandal or whatever during the week, then you crave the weekend more because you, in theory, get to do that all weekend, unless you have children, in which case you don't.
True. I think it becomes really important to change the perspective or how we look at certain words, because again, you're still on the clock, even if it's the weekend and you say, I have to do this. Because when you have to do it and you don't do it, now you're disappointed. And then when you say you have to do it and you don't do it, you then start to point fingers and you get upset because something that you had to do, you didn't do. Now, maybe because something else jumped up into the situation that needed to be done, or you just wanted to veg. But when you use words like that, I think that puts pressure on you. And the same pressure you feel at work now shifts over into your weekend. So I would say for those people out there thinking about just that, if your weekend sometimes goes by so quickly, think about how you're describing it. Think about the words you're using to look at your weekend with and start to alter that feeling, because if you have to do something and you don't, you then not only feel disappointed, but you feel drained going into a work week that you have to do.
We're watching football today, right? It's Saturday that we're recording this. I'm going to go ahead and expose us. But we're watching football and Akeem says to me, I don't understand tailgating. And I went to TCU and I had the time of my life and I was on the sidelines and I also tailgated my butt off. So I understand it. However, it was not my favorite thing in the world. And then both of us working in college athletics, we don't tailgate because we're working. And so he's like, I don't understand tailgating. And last year we went to an LSU tailgate with some of my coworkers and that was crazy. Stuff everywhere. People everywhere cooking, smoking different things. You got whole pigs being, made because they're playing Arkansas and it's a big deal and, whatever else. But in any case, he's like, I don't understand it. And I was thinking about that and I was thinking about what we were going to talk about on this podcast. And it's like, people tailgate as that thing that they can't wait for on the weekend, right? Like people are all week this week when I was talking to some of my coworkers of, we're going to tailgate, we'll be out there at 11. We're going to tailgate, we'll be out there at this time. We're going to go to a tailgate in a couple of weeks with some of my coworkers and people are already talking about it because that's something that they look forward to. But that doesn't negate the effort and the work it is to put up a tailgate. The tent, the food, the preparation, the grilling, the grocery shopping, the music, the TVs, the portable TVs, the this, the that, the other thing. And tailgating is a lot of work. However, when it's all said and done, it's fun. And you might be 3 times tired when you finish your tailgate and you finish the game, but you're fulfilled. And I think that's the other thing is we look at the work that we do on the weekend to be fulfilling in a different way than the work that we do during the week. Because I know for you, as much as the grass gets crazy, you get stressed when the grass hasn't been done. So it fulfills you in a different way to do that work.
And it goes to how I look at it. Because with me being with Serena, it's just the capacity that I'm with her. I do enjoy being able to step outside and use that as a workout. Even though I'm right at the house, I ain't going anywhere. I'm not picking up any weights, but I am so excited to do it because it's another workout for me. So I change my perspective. But when it's a month later and that grass is to my knees, I'm like, oh, Oh no.
Y'all, we got a letter from our HOA this week. That's how bad it was.
That's with a photo.
With a photo.
Like,
however, we did have a hurricane 2 weeks ago, so give us some grace.
I got called to the principal's office and they're like, do your lawn. So, yes. But how you look at things can completely change that way you go at it, whether it's work related or on your own personal time work related. If you look at it as something that is going to go by quickly or something you're having a bad outlook at, it's not going to be enjoyable, whether it's on the weekend or the weekday. And truly, that's the kind of space I've fallen into with this whole perspective of how like people get excited for this day, you know?
Do you think that if the United States went to the 4-day work week, people would be happier?
Ooh, boy. No. We would use it, but I don't think people would be happier because it won't be enough. You know what I mean? What I mean?
It's
won't...
like the what would you do if you had more hours in the day concept, right?
Yeah, if you had more hours in the day, you would work. Like you wouldn't just relax, you would work because that's what we do. I don't want to say it that way. I think some people would take advantage of it, but I think the majority of the people truly wouldn't be happy with it and they would actually work. There was actually a research study done. This is my PhD side coming out. There was actually a research study done that they gave this company like a 4-day work week option. Everybody in the company, depending on what level they were at, had that option. Still, the majority of the people within the company chose to work on the 5th day by coming into work because that's just what they do.
So I know an organization that after COVID, they allowed their non-clinical employees, so like, you know, the office staff, the phone scheduler people, the HR, like they can all work from home 1 day a week. However, they have to pick their 1 day a week and it has to be the same. So say it's a group of 10 people, whoever is working from home on Monday, Monday always has to be their day. Tuesday always has to be their day, right? So it's predetermined, but after COVID, they can work from home 1 day a week. I thought that was really interesting because I was like, okay. Because one, is that better for them? You know, like if you have stuff to do, is it more productive for you to be at work or at home? And I know for me, if I have to work on something, say I'm working on contracts or a project or whatever, and I'm at home, I get 1,000,005 more things done because I can sit and I can focus. And the only time I'm bothered is if my phone rings. However, if I'm at work, I'm constantly interrupted all day long. So if I have to get something done that's going to take my brain capacity to sit down and do, it's going to take me all day to get through half of it because of the constant interruptions. So a 4-day work week for me, I don't know if I would benefit from that because I use all 5 of my days.
Yeah, and so for you, the expectation of getting to the weekend is you try your best to use that as a breath of fresh air. And for you guys listening out there, when do you find that breath of fresh air? When do you find that moment to just look up and just say, man, I have done this, or man, I've moved this far in my journey. Congratulations to me. Because I don't think we're doing that enough. And like one of the biggest things I've learned, especially in asking this question of why do people get so excited for the 4-day work week, or not the work week, but the whole concept of the weekend, it's because there's an expectation and I don't think there's enough reflection. Because I think if people reflected more on like, man, we got through this week, man, we actually were able to do this, it would truly help. It would truly help in just being able to say, I did so much more than I thought, instead of always thinking, I need to prepare. I need to get ready for what's next. I'm not ready yet. Just taking the time to look up and reflect sometimes is just as important as going forward.
So one of the things that I've had to do that has helped me have boundaries as it relates to work, because coming from athletics and going into corporate America, I had the habit of working on the weekends anyway, because that's what I was used to. And again, it's uninterrupted time because nobody else is working. Or if they are, they're not bothering me because they're thinking the same thing I am. I'm not going to bother that person on the weekend, right? For me, I think that one of the things to set boundaries that I've had to do is use my Monday morning as my get my bearings instead of my Sunday afternoon. Mm-hmm. Because what I was doing before is Sunday afternoon would hit, Serena would be down for her afternoon nap, or after she went to bed, I'll be like, okay, I have to prep for the week. now I use my Monday morning, if I don't have a meeting, and I block it as my, okay, prep, what's going on this week? What are my meetings? What projects am I going to try to get done? Where are my goals at, right? Because I was doing that on the weekend, which makes my weekend not 48 hours. It's less than that. And what that was doing was really burning me out because I felt like I was always working. It doesn't matter how excited or passionate I was about what I was working on. I was burnt out. My best friend is a teacher. For those that don't know, teachers get paid from the time the bell rings to the time the bell rings again. But the amount of work it takes to be a good teacher far surpasses, the school day. And so we've talked a lot about setting boundaries in order to still love what we do for work, but also find time for ourselves outside of that, because it can be really easy as you're passionate about your career to dive in wholeheartedly. But if you don't take time for yourself, and not just on the weekends, like if you don't take time for yourself on a day-to-day basis, it can really burn you out. And so what last year you were fine working until 5-6 o'clock at night because you were happy about a project, well, a year later, you might resent your job for that.
And the crucial thing you said in that whole thing was setting a boundary, because sometimes we don't know we need a boundary set.
like the weekend is an automatic boundary, but you have to set them the other 5 days.
Yeah, you have to set them the other 5 days, and you even have to set some just during the weekend. Like for us, there was one point where you were working so much that I was like, hey, I think you need to write it down. And I think you need to schedule out what time you're going to take lunch, what time you're done with your day on the weekend too. Because like she said, I'll use the weekend to work. And I was like, that's fine, but you got to schedule a smaller window of that being your work, so you can spend more time to be present. I had to be her resource to help her understand she can still use the weekend to work, but we need to set a different kind of boundary. Setting a boundary is something that should be so fluid, but I don't think we talk about that enough in saying that's okay to set an adjustable boundary. To be excited for the weekend, but you still have work. But I don't want to work because my weekend's going to be over with. Okay, well then set a smaller boundary for yourself and stick to it. Or if you take a break during the week, what's that boundary you're willing to set for yourself to still be present, to like love others and be there for others?
Yeah, I think it's so hard because we get caught up, Monday through Friday, especially being like, I got to get up and I got to go. And then when I get home, I'm so exhausted and you barely have time to eat, spend time with your family, put the kids to bed, whatever it is that you have to do. That those boundaries of what do you need as a person can be really hard. Like Akeem and I had this conversation this weekend where I have had a very busy, last 3 to 4 weeks as it relates to work. And I'm feeling super exhausted. And I told him the other day, I said, I just want to spend time with you. I want to spend time with Serena. I want to spend time with you and Serena. I need time by myself. I need a break from you, even though I haven't seen you for 2 weeks. I feel like, I needed all those things at once. And I said to him, I don't know which one I need first. What of all of that is going to serve me first? There were times where, as the weekend approached, I was so excited because I just got to spend time with him and Serena and we had so much fun. And then there were times where I was like, I just want a break from everybody. Even though I'm at work all week, I've really had to train my mind of knowing that me being at work is not a break. Just because I'm at work all week doesn't mean I don't deserve a break in my own regard to do with it what I want to do, even though I'm not home. And so I needed all those things because I've been working so much, but I didn't know which one I needed first. He didn't know which one I needed first. And so we just kept going and figured it out and spent time together. I spent time with Serena by myself, and Serena and I went and grocery shopped and did fun things, and Akeem took a nap. And so I really had time by myself. And so, it was just figuring it out of what you need is going to look different, and you may not know what you need, but you need something.
And not only do you know you need something, you have to be patient with that person or yourself to understand you need something, you just might not know how to express that. And for me, learning to be patient with you in the middle of your storm, there were times where I used to be so offended when you're like, well, you said you need a break from me, and you said you need this, and you need this, and you need this. I don't know what you need, and I'll get offended. Now it's just like, okay, which one is a priority for you now? Which one would you like more of? And it's just like helping you not get out the hole because it's still something you have to do, but at least pointing you to the light. That's saying whenever you're ready, this is how you crawl out.
No, it's so true. I want to spend time with Akeem, and I also want to not be around him at the exact same time.
Facts.
And so for him to try to navigate that and understand what that looks like, where I'm like, hey, let's hang out, but also leave me alone and go away. Like, I don't know which one is going to help me first, but I know I want both of them.
Yeah, you're like, I want both. I need both.
But you're also annoying me. Can you leave me alone? But for no good reason, right? Because I'm burnt out. We've had this conversation over and over again. And I think the other reason that people look forward to the weekend, and again, we have a 1-year-old. So all you amazing parents that are listening that have Little League, Pee-wee football, soccer tournament age children that are grinding on the weekends. Like, we have the utmost respect for the work that you do on the weekend, because we are not there yet. And we are okay with that. So we respect the work that you're doing on the weekends, because we know it's a heavy lift. But understanding what it is that you need, and even if you are one of those parents that's grinding on the weekend, with your kids at tournaments and doing all the activities, where are you finding time for yourself so that Sunday night hits and you're not miserable going back to work on Monday?
And for those of you listening without kids, try to find times to pour into yourself.
Enjoy it.
Yeah, enjoy it and pour into yourself, because I've fallen victim to this, and I've fallen in the trap of this, that the weekend was the only time that gave me energy. Sometimes you might need a little bit more. So is there 10 minutes throughout your week that you can pour back into yourself, that you can be locked into your family, or you can contribute to just your well-being that can help push you the next day or through the week? Because that's crucial too. I think when we put so much stake into a day and a half being the weekend to fulfill us up for the next incoming 5, that's a huge daunting task regardless. So you have to find times to get 5 minutes here, 10 minutes there. And we've done that, of saying, hey, what do you need now? Hey, how can I help you now? That might be just a question you can ask yourself, or a question you can ask your partner. Because I'm telling you, if you're excited for the weekend, we want you to be. But we also want you to be excited throughout the days of the week, because you're not working all the time.
I'll tell you, and I think that a lot of people feel this, where, you've signed up for something, or you are on the hook for something, and it gets to the weekend and you're like, dang, I wish I didn't volunteer for that. I wish I wasn't tailgating. I wish I wasn't gonna do snacks for the soccer tournament. I wish I was not the carpool person for baseball this weekend, right? Like, you get to that point where you're like, dang, I wish I did not. Like, my good heart on Monday, I wish that I was not doing that. I love Serena more than anything in the entire world. However, knowing that she is all go, nonstop, no break, I'm like, did I really take advantage of my pre-kid life? and
no.
and here's the thing. Like, if you're out there and you're listening and you're a parent and you don't feel that, I respect you. But if you do feel that, even 1% of that pre-kid, did I really take advantage of my freedom?
Man.
You're not alone. Because I do think that. Like, I wouldn't change anything. I love Serena. I love that she's in our life. I love that she's here. But man, before we had her, life was good. Life was so good. Because there was one less responsibility, right? And so it's hard because, the responsibilities that you put on your own plate, no matter how much you love them, understand that they're hard, and understand it's okay that they're hard. It's okay that Serena is a 1-nap baby and she is gonna run around, and she's gonna not want to sit and play because she's a toddler and we're active, so she's active, and all of that. I wouldn't trade it for the world. But understand that the responsibilities that you put on your own plate are challenging, and give yourself a pat on the back. Be proud of yourself for the responsibilities that you've taken on that maybe make your weekend seem harder than you wish it was, but you're doing it for a reason. Whether it's raising kids, whether it's starting a business, whether it's a hobby, whether it's a task, whether it's a volunteer thing or helping somebody with something, you're doing it for a reason because it serves your heart in some way. It can be easy to get into the rut of, I have to go volunteer for this because I signed up. I told my friend I'd help them move, so I got to go do it. But look at those as opportunities to fill your cup instead of pouring out.
Come on now. And I'll say this. I did 2 workouts and my watch tracked both the workouts. And in one of the workouts was a 2-mile walk with Serena. And at the end of those was 2,500 steps. After spending one whole day with Serena, that step counter went up to 8,000. So she is all go, no breaks. Seriously, what Allison said is so true. And it is okay if you don't know what you need. It is okay to know that it is hard and you do need a break. And we just want you to know that you can express that with yourself or with others because it is important. So when you're thinking about the weekend or what you need, just remember, instead of telling yourself you have to get it done, because when you tell yourself that, it will turn into work, start telling yourself you get an opportunity because now it can be enjoyable.
So, we like to leave you with a mantra at the end of every episode. And one of the things that I want to leave you with this time, because I want to kind of move away from the idea of wait for the weekend, cheers to the weekend, I can get to that on the weekend. Like, think about your everyday. What if you don't get the weekend? Like, I don't mean to be morbid, but there's an opportunity that you have every single day to do what you want to do, to achieve what you want to achieve, to love the people that you want to love. And so what I want to leave you with is consistent effort, consistent results. Meaning, if you want to pour into yourself, do it every day. If you want to love your family, do it every day. If you want to do your crafts, engage in your hobbies, do something for yourself, do it every single day, because the more pressure you put on the weekend, the more likely you are to look at what you have to do in those 48 hours as work and not something that's going to serve you.
Come on. We love you. Enjoy all the days because we want them to be all enjoyable. Thank you for joining us on this exciting episode of Mental Max Out. We hope today's discussion has empowered you with the insights and tools to overcome the challenges of depression, fear, and doubt. Always remember that you have a support system on this journey, and every step you take is a step forward towards victory. If you found this episode helpful, make sure to subscribe and leave us a review. We greatly appreciate your feedback as it allows us to continually provide you with the content that is most valuable to you. Stay connected with us on Instagram at Mental Max Out Podcast for a constant source of motivation, helpful advice, and a supportive community. Until the next time, keep pushing forward and remember, you have the strength within you to max out your potential. Take care and stay strong.